Today we will talk about the different steps involved in the sampling process. Well, these steps are defining the target population, selecting the sampling frame, choosing the sampling method, determining the sample size, and collecting the sample data. Now we will discuss each of these steps in detail. The first step, that is defining the target population, is the group of people or the items that have the characteristics that the researcher wants to study. Depending upon the context of the research, the population may be that of the individuals, then organizations, objects, events, or any other type of data that the researcher wants to investigate. Now, a well-defined population reduces the probability of including the participants who do not fit the precise scope of the research. If the population has a finite number of individuals or the items, then we call this as a finite population. For example, suppose we have the 100 boys studying in class 10th of a school. Now, this population of 100 boys of that school of class 10th is our population. A population can also be infinite. For example, the output from the machine. We do not know how much items would be produced by the machine, so this can be considered as the infinite population. The population of concrete individuals, students, is known as existent population, whereas the collection of all the possible ways in which an event can happen is the hypothetical event. For example, just we have talked about the population of 100 boys studying in class 10th of the school. This is the existent population. Whereas suppose we toss a coin and then we have either head or tail. The population of heads and tails so obtained by tossing the coin is an infinite number of times is an example of hypothetical population. Next is selecting the sampling frame. This is actually a section of the target population that is accessible, usually a list with contact information. Now you have to remember the difference between the target population and the sampling frame, and that is the population is general and the frame is specific. For example, if the target population is girls of a primary school, then the sampling frame is the girls of students studying in class 5th of that school, right? All the girls of the primary school, they are representing the target population, and one specific class if we have considered, and the girls from that class formulate the sampling frame. Next is choosing the sampling method. There are actually two main types of sampling methods. One is the probability sampling, other is the non-probability sampling. Well, probability sampling uses a random selection to have a sample, whereas non-probability sampling is often based on convenience or the personal preference of the researcher rather than the random selection, right? So these two are the different methods of choosing the sampling method, and there are further division of probability sampling and the non-probability sampling techniques. Then next is determining the sample size. The sample size means how many individuals are to be taken for the data collection for a specific sample. So, in statistics, sample size refers to the number of individuals or items chosen for a study or experiment. Sample size determines the precisions of the predictions that the researchers make about the population. In general, the larger the sample size, more precise the predictions. However, using the larger sample requires many resources, and whether the sample would be large or small, this also depends upon the type of the research, whether it is a quantitative research or the qualitative research, right? So sample size that researcher selects depends upon the various factors including the sampling method, the size, the complexity of the target population, limits of the resources, timeline, and the goal, the purpose of the research, right? Then next is collecting the sample data. This is the final step in sampling process. As a researcher, one can give student satisfaction survey to the students or customer satisfaction survey to the customers selected for the sample. The survey responses provide the useful data, how the students or the customers feel about, for example, the infrastructure, the teaching learning process of the school, or the digital features of the newly launched mobile phone. So these are the 5 main steps that are involved in the sampling process.